The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Teflon Pan Man. I'm the Teflon Pan Man. Ain't nothing gonna stick on me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to All You Can Eat. It's the podcast about deliciousness. I am your host, Rob Rosenthal. Excited to be here with you this evening live. 28th, I think, of July. I lost track. It doesn't matter. It's great. It's beautiful. This is episode number 114 of All You Can Eat. I'm very excited because, I've been fortunate enough to have on some terrific guests. Tonight, not only no exception, but really one of the most extraordinary people I know. This guy really, really impresses me. Ming Tsai. And I'm not easily impressed. But here's a guy with a mechanical engineering degree from Yale University, who then goes off to study at the Cordon Bleu Cooking School in Paris, France, one of the most recognized and prestigious cooking schools in the world. And while he's there, he becomes one of the top 10 professionally ranked squash players in the country. So not only brains, but athletic ability as well. Then comes back to the United States and attends Cornell University's School of Hotel and Hospitality Administration, the best in the country, gets his master's degree from there, named Chef of the Year by Esquire magazine, and still to this day hosting, 18 years later, what's now PBS's longest running cooking show called Simply Ming. 18 seasons it is. 5 cookbooks. This guy does it all. I can't be more impressed. I had met him once, and he made me laugh, which was, in and of itself, I thought, an accomplishment. But Ming Tsai, just really a great guy. Now, I am having a conversation with him, which I will turn you on to momentarily, where we spent some time talking about a new product, a new project that he's working on, product and project. He's created something called Mings Bings, and Bings are like little kind of turnover type pastries, Chinese, and they're filled with, normally they would be filled with things like, meat and cheese and vegetables. Ming has chosen to fill his Bings with vegetables and plant-based food, and I'll tell you something, 2 things that matter here. Number one, he did it for a reason having to do with health, having to do with wellness. When he discovered one of the most devastating things you can discover, his wife had been told that she had she had cancer, breast cancer, what kind of cancer? She had cancer, 4th degree, I think it was lung cancer, like fourth stage, bad, and decided that she would go on a fully kind of, all veg diet, and Ming decided at that point, having discovered nothing in the supermarket that was satisfying, to create his own product. The good news is that she's better. There's nothing more important than that. She's converted to that kind of diet. His product I have tried, and it's excellent. That's important as well, because he's making delicious food that happens to be good for you as well to eat. Plant-based, dairy-free, gluten-free, the whole deal. In fact, I will also play you my 5-minute or 4-minute recommendation on the product, which I do these days on a site that's called Racket.com, short audio, and I use it to make recommendations. I'm going to play that for you. And then I will play you my conversation with Ming Tsai. We have a lovely chat for a little bit. And then I'll come back and say, okay, nice to have you here on episode number 114. In the meantime, hang in. Let's start with my racket on Mings Bings. Hi, I'm Rob Rosenthal, and I recommend. Now, today's recommendation is an excellent new food product. It's called a Bing, which resembles a Hot Pocket, but the similarity pretty much stops there. The Hot Pocket is an American food invention introduced in 1983. It's a microwavable turnover, generally containing some types of cheese, meat, and vegetables. You popped it into the toaster oven or a microwave until it got crisp on the outside and capable of burning your tongue with whatever they put inside. The comedian Jim Gaffigan, who you may know, does a classic routine on the Hot Pocket in which he said that it came from the idea to fill a Pop-Tart with nasty meat. But he adds that there's also a vegetarian Hot Pocket, he said, for those of us who don't want to eat meat, but would still like diarrhea. Okay, enough about Hot Pockets. Now, let's talk about Mings, which are a traditional Chinese flatbread that originated a long time ago. It's the Ming Dynasty of China. They appear pocket-like. They're hot and crispy, but they're actually delicious. Now, the ones I recommend come from the great culinary pioneer and chef Ming Tsai, one of the most impressive people I know. James Beard Award-winning chef, restaurateur, cookbook author, and Emmy Award-winning host of the longest-running show on PBS. It's called Simply Ming, now in its 18th season. Long story short is that Ming's wife was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, which, that is devastating. While they explored medical treatment options, she also made the decision to transition to a strict vegan diet with the hope of lowering inflammation by using food as medicine. And with his chef background, Ming knew that he could create delicious vegan options for his wife. But when he went to the grocery store in search of kind of like quick meal options or savory type stuff, he was disappointed by the variety and quality of some of the things that he had seen in the market. And so Mings was born plant-based, vegan, gluten-free, and most important to me, delicious, right? Super crispy on the outside, which is very important, and yummy-licious on the inside. Now, they come in like 5 different flavors. I highly recommend starting with the original Bing, which contains 8 superfoods like edamame, garlic, ginger, brown rice, shiitake, red onion, pepita seeds, and watercress. It's folded inside this beautiful brown rice paper wrapper that he's come up with. It's really good. We ate them plain. And I just want to add that my very hard to please, kind of very choosy family went from, what the hell are these things, to, okay, we need to get more of these things. They saw me put them in the toaster oven, and by the time they were out and done, they were like, okay, how do we get more of these? So this is a good sign. Really, really great. They're fine plain. They would be fantastic with a touch of soy or a couple of the other products that I've actually recommended here on Racket, one of which is that Banchan's Japanese barbecue sauce. I love that. Or the awesome spicy chili crisp. That would be amazing on this thing. All of which, by the way, can be found on my website at realrobrosenthal.com. Try also the sausage and pepper Bing. Don't expect it to be like eating an actual pork sausage, but I got to say, I like the flavor a lot. And it comes to you clean, if you know what I mean. You don't have to be eating, pig fat. Let's put it that way. And if you want to see more, just go to mingsbings.com. Mingsbings.com. One more thing, too. Serious companies these days do more than just sell product. For example, Mings donates a portion of the proceeds to foundations such as the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, the Jimmy Fund, and Family Reach, which is a charity based on, alleviating the financial strain of cancer diagnosis for families. So it's really good that way. And moreover, I have to say, beyond the nutritional benefits, they've done a good job in that the product is thoughtfully produced and packaged to ensure minimal environmental impact. So all in all, you get to eat good, you get to feel good, and you get to do good. What could be better than that? Better than delicious, nutritious food that's prepared with purpose? And my thought is not much. One final note is that the great Ming Tsai will be my guest on the next episode of my All You Can Eat podcast, which you can find on iHeartRadio and Spotify and Spreaker. I'll let you know when that comes up in about a week. In the meantime, feel free to like this by hitting the heart below. Share to your own networks, message me for any reason whatsoever, and follow me here on Racket because I'm Rob Rosenthal, and I recommend. So, yes, I do genuinely like the product, as you can hear. Go ahead and go to my website if you want, because I think I always put up my recommendations from Racket on my website, which then offer a link directly to get any kind of products that I'm recommending. So it's realrobrosenthal.com. That's how you're going to find a link into Mings Bings over there and the other things that I recommend. And now, with no further ado, my conversation with the great Ming Tsai. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to Ming Tsai. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the one and only Ming Tsai. Welcome to All You Can Eat, Ming. It's the podcast about deliciousness. Treat to have you here.
Thank you, Rob. Great to be here.
Where did I find you, Ming? Where you sitting?
So, funny enough, I'll give you a quick look gander here. This is called Commons at Yale, my alma mater.
Mm-hmm.
I happen to be here speaking to the chefs here, Ravi, about Ming's Bings, because it's a great potential food item for colleges and prep schools and things like that. And it's kind of fun to be back. And they just redid their kitchen. Rob, unbelievable. Like double rotisserie, roboto grill. It's like, wow, like real legit kitchen.
Hey, Ming, who is somebody wants to enter the waiting room? Bree. Okay, Bree, sure, we'll admit Bree, right?
Yeah, Bree's a friend. Let her in.
We'll put Bree in. She may be on the camera with us, but whatever. Oh, there you go. Okay, she's just going to be hanging out in the corner. I wanted you to know that we actually have met once before.
Okay.
And the only reason I mention it is because it was memorable for me. I was hired, it was probably a decade ago, by the folks over at Food and Wine, who was there at the time, JP and Chris Gerdovich. They hired me to produce a promotional film about the Food and Wine Festival in Aspen. And part of the treat there was to interview everybody. And along the way, I see you, I interview you, and I don't know what I asked you. What I remember you saying was, and I'll find the video somewhere one day. I remember you saying something like this: do you think they would still be fighting 2,000 years later in the Middle East if they would eat anything other than hummus? That was
I did say that.
I'm saying I remember meaning, because it was it was one of those things that stood out for me all those years later. So I like to start from the beginning. Remind everybody, where'd you grow up?
So I grew up in the culinary capital of the world, Dayton, Ohio.
That's right. Okay.
And born in Newport Beach, West Coast by blood, but literally 18 years in Dayton, Ohio. And that's where my first restaurant job I had, right? My mom had the Mandarin kitchen. My dad still is at 92, a rocket scientist, literally designing composite materials, double laminates. He just got a patent, his third patent at 92. I mean, He worked full time. Ridiculous. Anyway, but my mom had the Mandarin kitchen. That's where I got the restaurant bug. That's literally when I found out you can make people happy through food. All right, this is a really cool job for me. I was the egg roll cart guy, rice maker, janitor, all 9 yards. And then I was schooled, because being, a son of a Chinese parents, schooling. So went to prep school, and like a good Chinese boy, I studied engineering because I had the choice as a doctor, lawyer, engineer. So I took engineering. I liked science. So funny enough, it's come full circle now, designing kitchen equipment. So that's kind of cool, actually.
Good.
And but once I got to college, I'm studying engineering like crazy. I'm like, I'm going to go to Paris and start cooking and mastering French. So I did that. I went to Alliance Française, started doing apprenticeships. By junior year, I went to Cordon Bleu, and that's when I'm like, wow, the French can cook too. And that's when I decided to do, I called it Chinese cuisine, Rob. That name didn't stick, thank God, French Chinese. It's East-West cuisine. I like to call it East meets West. Not a fan of the term fusion, because that sounds forced to me. It's more of a blending, right, of flavors and techniques. And ever since that, I never looked back. Came back, told my parents, hey, guys, look, and they knew it. Like, I want to be a chef. I'm going to graduate. I'm going to get my degree. Don't worry, because we spent lots of money, getting me there. So I got my engineering degree, but I want to go cook in Paris. My mom gave me a huge hug, saying, that's awesome, son. At your young age, you already know what you're doing. Just give 110%. We support you. Keep in mind, I'm first generation, right? They came here to give me the better life, and all the possible jobs I do after that great schooling, I became a cook. So, kind of ass backwards, if you would. Yeah. And I looked at my dad, who's much more pensive, and again, a rocket scientist. And he looks at me, deadpan, son, you aren't going to be a very good engineer anyway. Go cook. I'm like,
that's good. Well, there you go. I love the brutal honesty of it.
Yeah, it's like, tell it like it is, Dad. But his point, if you don't love what you do, you get no chance on earth being good at it. No chance.
And isn't that truism true all the time? Well, you ended up also, and I don't know what the sequence is. I know that you had the with Blue Ginger in Boston for a lot of years. No,
I did.
when what did you? I assume you trained in some restaurants before you
Oh
opened
yeah.
your own.
So I'm in. So I go to Paris. I get to play pro squash. The French really were not good in squash, so I was in the top 10 there, which is great for me.
Nice.
And cooked all over. After 2 years, I went again more schooling. I went to Cornell, got a master's in the hotel management.
Sweet.
And then I really wanted to try the hotel biz because there's restaurants in the hotels plus everything else. To really basically with the idea one day I'll own my own restaurant, but let's do hotels and restaurants, learn P&L, learn how to read, learn the numbers and the backside that you need to learn, not just the front side. And so I did that. I opened in Chicago, the Hotel Intercontinental. After 2 years plus, I'm like, I got to get back in the kitchen. I'm missing breaking down salmon and just making pot stickers. So I ended up a sous chef at the Silks of the Mandarin Orient Hotel in San Francisco, where I met literally my best chef friend, Ken Oranger. He and I are co-sous chefs working with Ken Hum, a name you may remember, Rob. Ken Hum, who was really the father of East West cuisine. And then since then there, I left and went to Santa Cafe, where I was my first exec chef job for a couple of years plus. Brought the James Beard there, first time to New Mexico. Very great job for me. And then Blue Ginger. And then Blue Ginger for 19 years in Wellesley. And then Blue Dragon. And currently we're closed since last May. Business is just not back in the seaport. People aren't working like they used to and happy hour. So Dragon may not reopen. But I did open a restaurant 1 month before COVID in December called Baba out in Big Sky, a club called Yellowstone Club. And so that's doing gangbusters. And then Mings, which I hope we talk about a little bit too, Rob.
Oh, we're going to talk about it a lot. Actually, I've had them all. I've tried them all. I had them for lunch. I had them for lunch today. I wanted to keep my the taste fresh in my mouth. Yeah, we're going to get to that because I'm intrigued by by essentially all the movement and the trend and the momentum in the food business in general. Whether we talk about restaurants or whether we talk about people moving on to kind of more vegetable forward or whatever you want to call that type of cooking. But before we do, I have to say also, as a student of the genre, you're still doing food television. I mean, that is it 17 or 18 years that you're doing food TV?
We just wrapped up season 18.
18. And do you still? I think I know what my answer would be for you, but I'm asking you: do you still love doing it?
I do. Rob, I get to teach, right? And I've always been a natural teacher, right? Be it tennis for little kids and cooking. And if you're a chef or a restaurant, you're teaching, right? You're teaching the youngest cook how to, whatever it is, hold a knife, do julienne, lobster, whatever. So I love that. I love spreading information that you could actually cook easily and deliciously at home in one pot. Doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg. And by the way, it could be really good for you. My last 2 seasons especially, I really dedicated a lot to the plant-based, which is how I eat at home, honestly. I mean, look, I'll have a great ribeye once a month or something. And of course, I love sushi and I'll eat fish and cook fish for my wife. But she's primarily vegan, unless I'm cooking fish. And I primarily eat, I'm definitely vegetarian till dinner. And that's the way everyone eats in Asia. This is not something I started, right? I mean, Asia is just plant-based. We use protein and meat for flavoring. Right. And in particular, this last season, because of COVID, I did a Facebook Live first with 2 cameras with my son, Henry, who's now 19. He's going to USC proudly this next month as a freshman. And he's just a chip off the old block, loves to cook. He's not going to be a chef, thank God. But he's a great cook and just has a wit that likes to make fun of dad on TV. And but it's been a real fun. So that's been really special this particular season. And Rob, you know the saying, I will keep doing TV until they won't have me anymore.
Well, the reason I bring it up is twofold. Number one, I ended up going to professional culinary school for no other reason than I idolized Graham Kerr, the Galloping Gourmet. I mean, like that. I said, he has my kind of dream job. So I've been watching it since those days. I've had a chance. I was fortunate. I had a chance to interview Graham Kerr, and so he's been on one of the podcasts. I've interviewed Pepan, who to me, is kind of the master of food television cooking. And I will say that I'm putting you in that league. 17, 18 years, you're still a treat to watch. You still are enjoying it. Everything about what you're doing is, and I'm telling you this in the context of, they sent me for my internship from school over to the Food Network, the fledgling Food Network.
Right.
So I was working there. I was watching. I saw what they were doing from the very beginning, and what it's turned. You don't have to dump. I'll do the dumping here. But food television to me has devolved into this. It's just one silly competition show after another. Not only monotonous, but against the very thing that you and I are for, which is showing someone how to. My formula is how do you get the most taste with the fewest ingredients and the least effort, right? So you have it's just still a treat to watch you, and it's one of the few. I guess what I'm saying is it's also one of the few television programs, even growing up on the genre and watching for 30 years, that I can still watch and enjoy.
Ah, Rob, thank you. That's really sweet. I appreciate that. Yeah, you know what? There's nothing I'm going to keep doing if I don't enjoy it. Well,
Right.
why? Life's way too short, especially now, right? Especially, I mean, let's be honest, Rob, since 9/11, I've been like, drink the better wine because you just don't know.
Yeah.
Don't drink the better wine. Eat caviar, absolutely, as much as you can.
Well, yeah, you're not going to get an
Really
argument. You're not going to get an argument from me on those things. I have a tendency to have no self-control. Now, so what I wanted to ask you, even before we get into this kind of like the Bing thing, is I have some sense also, and I remember these things because my own daughter is allergic to fish. Does one of your kids have an allergy to something?
David, who's now my 21-year-old, used to be deathly allergic to soy, wheat, dairy, shellfish, peanuts, eggs.
Wow.
7 of the 8. But we found this amazing person, Amy Tieringer. You can go to Allergy Art, A-R-T. It's called the Allergy Release Technique, allergyart.com. She cured him in 5 years, age 5 to age 10. We went once a week, and it's about releasing. It's very woo. I'm gonna tell you this, Rob. It's mine. It's tapping and releasing the anxiety and using this biomeridian machine and a scanner to gauge your reaction to gluten or wheat. You literally put a pretzel on the scanner and you hold these electrodes, and but it worked. It worked for wheat, and then it worked for dairy, and then it worked for this. And our allergist, the head allergist at Children's, was our guy. He's like, I don't know what you're doing, but he's no longer allergic to wheat. And we went all the way up through peanut challenge in an office. We didn't even go to the hospital, and now he is allergen. He's cured. So it's look, if you believe in acupuncture and qigong, flow of energy, that's what this was. And all I know is my son crushes almonds and pecans now, and you just couldn't do that through Western medicine.
Well, it's a great story and a great lesson. I'm lucky in this way. My daughter is allergic only to fish, and apparently it's fish, not even seafood.
Right.
So she can kind of live with that.
Pretty easily avoidable, right?
Yeah, exactly. Much more easily avoidable. Let's go. So the package of Bings arrived the other day, and I would say, generally speaking, my experience has not been. I didn't have high expectations, and my family, bless them, Ming, they are also not easy to please people. And so I opened this box of things and I put it in the toaster oven, and they're like, "What's that?" And I go, "It's good. Just give it a try." And so I cut them into quarters, and immediately I hear from my difficult to please crowd, "We got to get more of these." I mean, it was like an instant win, and I was frankly, I was not only happy, I was kind of shocked. But I will tell you right off the bat that what happened. I opened up with the vegetable ones.
Yep, the original thing.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And what you can't help but notice, and I went toaster oven on them. Right. What you can't help but notice is that you're getting a beautiful. I mean, it's the first thing you're going to get. You get a beautiful crust. You get a beautiful bite out of the thing. And then, taste, just lovely texture, richness, smooth, lovely. And they were like, "Okay, where do you get these? We got to get more." And I said, "Okay, we'll figure out how to do that." But I was really pleased that they liked those.
I love that.
What's the idea behind? And then today I'll tell you about what I had. I had both the burger and the sausage and pepper. And again, delightful. And I'm not the, I'm a cook. And I will eat certain things out of the whatever, but I'm not surprised because it seems to me that everything you do at a very high level. but really, really nice job on these things. What's
Thank
the
you.
idea behind them, and what's the plan? What's the origin?
So the story is it's a 2-minute story, and this I'll tell you point blank. This story ends up happy. It starts off sad. Almost 4 months to this October, my wife was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. Right,
Oh,
absolutely non-smoker, crazy. She fortunately had what was called EGFR mutation. I'm now a cancer expert, nothing I ever wanted to be.
of course.
But that qualified her for a drug called Tagrisso, developed by AstraZeneca, developed at Dana-Farber, which of course I've cooked for the CEO at various charity events. This is when I said, okay, I need a favor from you now. And that drug wiped her cancer out. It was an oral pill. She didn't have the normal radiation chemo side effects, right? It was just a blessing that we're in Boston. So that wiped her cancer out. But she also went vegan because all of our research showed that avoid sugar, cancer feeds on sugar, and more plant-based, the better for your body, especially red meat. And so she went vegan. We started juicing every morning. And this is pre-COVID, so I was still traveling a bunch. So I would literally go to the grocery stores and like, hey, what vegetarian patties are there that I can buy for my wife so she can eat really well when I'm not around? Well, there's nothing that's good. And Boca, Gardein, Dr. Perry, they're all these hockey pucks that are emulsified, mashed chickpeas, soybeans, whatever. You need avocado, lettuce, tomato, dressing, bun. You need
Right.
the chocolate. They're really not good. And by the way, full disclosure, even us chefs that try to make a good bean burger or chickpea burger, they're always mushy. It's hard to do. So I figured I'm going to flip the paradigm. I'm going to put the emulsification on the outside. So I made this brown rice flour primarily. There's a bunch of different starches in there as well, but gluten-free because I just think you're eliminating inflammation in your body. If you ever watch Game Changers, and if you've seen that, Rob, it's a great movie to see. Inflammation causes basically all diseases, and Game Changers is about the world's strongest man is a vegan. So it's worth a watch, especially since you know all about food. Anyway, so I developed the wrapper and I said, I'm just going to wok stir or saute the filling, just like a spring roll. But since a bing is a traditional dim sum item from China, on the streets of Beijing and Taiwan, they have these bings that are about this big, hockey puck shaped, filled with luscious pork and really almost soup dumpling. There's so much juice. And then share bing are the bings you have the round kind of crepe-like thing and people kind of fold stuff in.
Right.
We have them in the streets here in New York now. And so I wanted to take the bing, just reinvent it, but I wanted to make it literally look like a Hot Pocket. Right? I wanted it to be something you eat by your hand. Hot Pocket is the most amazing food product that's still around 45 years later. But it's the first gluten-free, hopefully delicious, vegan Hot Pocket that's super easy to make. So I created it really with my wife in mind. And then, of course, we did the original and she likes that the best. But now we have 5 flavors and we're developing more. And one thing to note, I am a man of science. I have a degree in engineering, but not only is this good for you, right? Plant-based, you talk to any doctor, any medical expert, plant-based is better for you. And also, if you believe in science, it's certainly better for the planet, right? A little less water, less methane gas, all that. And it's also better for your soul because some proceeds for the sale of Mings Bings benefit Dana-Farber, again, the hospital saved my wife's life and my CEO's life, Pal, and Family Reach. Family Reach, I'm the proud president of their national advisory board. I've raised almost $10 million for them over 10 years. We financially help families with cancer, which is the number one cause of personal bankruptcy. So it's a taste good, feel good, do good product.
It's great. 1,000 congratulations on that. And most important, I mean, again, from on a selfish perspective, that I like eating it. I mean, that kind of matters because you're right.
Rob, that means the world to me. And no offense to you, but the fact that you're the picky kid like them, that's fantastic. And that's really for me proof of the pudding. Kids are actually loving even the original 8-veg one, which most kids aren't going to eat watercress with shiitake mushrooms. Right? Those are pretty umami based strong flavors, but
right.
When balanced, people are like, wow, this is good.
Yeah, no, really, really good. Really, really well done. Where, how do people get their hands on them? What's the distribution system about?
So we are online nationally. So you can go to mingsbings.com and we send anywhere in the country.
Right.
Obviously, that's more expensive because there's shipping to IS that whole 9 yards. We are nationally in Wegmans, which is a fantastic grocery store chain I love. We're very strong in New England right now. We're in Dave's Market, who launched us. We're in Roach Brothers, and we actually sell them fresh and frozen in Roach Brothers. We have a couple meal kits that on a salad with Thai vinaigrette with bok choy and jasmine rice. So Roach Brothers has been a great partner as well. We're also in Market Basket, and probably about 50 to 70 small grocery store chains. We are launching most likely in the next 2 weeks in New York as well, D'Agostino's, Fairview. So it's slowly growing. We just started in Whole Foods, about 8, 9 Whole Foods, and that should expand nationally. So
Yeah,
it's been a nice, steady, slow growth, which is actually honestly good for us because production doesn't always match growth, and so far we've been lucky.
Yeah, you got to ramp up. I think the Whole Foods makes sense because that feels like the right customer. And as the Costco ho myself, since I'm at Costco every week of my life, I've actually I've discovered really nice product at Costco, Ming, and I mean in this genre. Last week I interviewed the lady CEO of Bitchin' Sauces.
Okay.
And I'll tell you something, very impressive product and a very impressive young woman. And I have to say that even though it's a hockey puck, my kids actually do like the Don Lee sweet potato and sunflower seed frozen, not even frozen. They don't freeze them. They sell them over at the Costco. A really nice quote unquote veggie burger product. So I would love to see you in the Costco when the production capacity is there.
That will be a great day when we get into Costco.
Yeah. 100%. Love that a lot. Let me ask you this: two completely different subjects that I had in mind for us. One is, were you on Henry Louis Gates to determine that you are connected to royalty some 100 generations back?
Believe it or not, and I've known Skip for many years. Humbled to be on his show. He started with a Tsai book that actually was already 34 generations old. So we already knew exactly where we were up to 890 AD. But from that, with his research, discovers the first size 100 generations ago, 2000 plus BC, and was one of the original emperors of China, Huangdi. Huangdi invented Chinese. He invented governmental systems. I'm sure he wasn't the nicest guy to be emperor. He probably had some enemies. But yeah, and it's really funny, Rob. I told my kids this like 3 months before it was going to air. I'm like, I told them Henry was like 5 years old then. He's like looking outside, and I know he's thinking, is there going to be a chariot of gold, white horses and gold cougarons being thrown on our driveway because of? I'm like, Henry, trash is Tuesdays with recycling. You have to brush and floss your teeth twice a day. Nothing.
That's great, though. It's great that you're from royalty. I'll tell you, we have this in common, Ming, is that I too come from royalty in the sense that I'm from Queens, but in this case, Queens, New York. Just as an FYI, just thought you should know. I too have that in my bloodline.
We have a lot in common. Rob.
Did you? Another thing entirely, which is this: did you? Why are people, and I include myself in this, by the way, so continue to this day to be so upset by Anthony Bourdain's death?
It's, and I've had, unfortunately, I've lost more than I can count people that have taken their own lives, and you always want to ask yourself, could I have done more? Didn't we see this? Wasn't this so obvious for all of us? And the answer is yes and no, right? Because you have no idea how much someone's hurting, and obviously ridiculously a lot for him to take his own life. And so yeah, that always pains. And look, and bluntly, Jose and Eric Ripert were best friends with Tony. I was a friend of Tony. They were best friends, and they're barely recovering now because he is alive. He will remain one of the best storytellers of food and culture that also dove into politics and socioeconomic, and it wasn't just food and culture. It wasn't, like one of my shows. I mean, I'm not dissing my own shows, but I was more surface show, and I got to the culture and the food, but he went 2-3 layers deeper.
Yeah. You didn't catch this documentary yet, did you?
I have not. No, I need to see it. I hear it's really worth watching.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it. And people have noise to make about whether or not they should have used the AI on his voice. Who could care? I don't care. That's not my issue. But I will look forward to seeing that.
It's just it's just one of these things. And the kids today, prep school and college kids, the amount of pressure. And COVID didn't help at all, right? If you were on the cusp of some type of mental illness, with COVID just put you over. And I hope if anyone is listening, the most important thing is reach out. It's never too late to reach out for help. Call the suicide hotline, whatever it is, your mother, your father, your brother, whatever. No one's ever not going to want to hear from you. Reach out for help. And that's all that's what, because just one other call could have saved his life, right? One other conversation, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. Because I, as a cookbook author whose formula was most taste, fewest ingredients, least effort, I always ask real chefs for exactly that. You're cooking at home. What do you make with the to get to the most taste with the fewest ingredients and the least effort? What are your kind of little key things that you like?
So, Chinese household, right? Always leftover rice.
Right.
So there's always going to be some type of fried rice made.
Got it.
Most basic scallion egg fried rice, delicious, right? Because
Right.
I always had scallions, or onion egg, or something egg.
Right.
And then any type of meat, if I have uncut chorizo or beef or one of their, right? Or if I have real ground pork, ground chicken, like Chinese technique, cook the protein first, season it well, set it aside, cook your aromatic, add your veg. I always have handfuls of leafy veg. It could be watercress or spinach or arugula, whatever.
Right.
That's my go-to. And then in a pinch, instant ramen. But I take the oil packet, I put the oil packet in the pan, I saute again whatever veg, mushrooms or something. Then I add the water, boil it like normal, measure the water, then add your noodles, and at least you have something. And then I drop 2 raw eggs in at the end. So at least it's a meal. So it's a instant ramen, right? High sodium, I get it. Usually with MSG, the ones without MSG suck. So with a little MSG is fine.
Right.
And but throw veg and 2 eggs, the meal.
Yeah, that's very good. All right, so I feel good. I've been very much looking forward to hanging out with you.
Let me ask you, what have you been working on? What's your latest projects?
Oh, well, that's a good question. There's a couple. Thank you for asking. That's very sweet of you. You and I are on episode either 112 or 113 of All You Can Eat, the podcast. So I bang out one of those every week. Earlier today, I actually interviewed somebody else that I was kind of also looking forward to spending time with. Sean Evans, who hosts the Hot Ones show there on the YouTube.
Sean, I want to come on your show. All right.
I'm going to let him know, but I already spoke to him earlier, so I do that. And it turns out, Ming, that there's a new social media platform in town. Okay. And it's called Racket.com. And the thing that's fascinating to me about Racket is that it's audio. It's limited to only 9 minutes, and it's within a social network, so people will follow you and comment on what you audio post. And so I've been doing a lot of it. It's very early days. They haven't even developed the phone app yet, but I find it fascinating, and I'm using it to do what I do, which is I recommend delicious things to eat and drink. So when you and I are done, for example, I'm going to grab a box of Mings Bings. I'm going to do a racket. That racket goes out into the world, and then the universe of people that are on Racket at this point see that, share it, whatever, and then I can repost it to other venues. But I like it a lot. I think it's going to be a real thing.
So up to 9 minutes, audio only.
Up to 9 minutes, audio only. When you respond to it, when you want to respond to somebody's post, you respond in audio, and they're killing it over there. But it's super early days. Like I feel like I'm in a universe of people that are essentially testing the thing out. But I love the hell out of it. I think it's going to be a real. I think it's going to be a real. You
have a very distinctive voice, so that's good for Racket, obviously.
I mean, I also have done my share of broadcasting, and the other thing that I spend
whole career, yes.
Well, and the other thing that I spend time on is, and I had to take off for, I think my wife counted 455 days. I go around. I'm lovely people like tourist boards send me to places, and I write about their country and their cuisine. So that's coming back now that we can get back on a plane, assuming these morons that will not take an injection don't kill us with the next variant of this fucking thing. I have zero patience.
Oh, I'm right there with you, sir. It's just, I don't get it. 99.5% of people that have died in the last 6 months were not vaccinated. What other data point do you need?
You don't.
That's the data point. You won't die. You won't die. That's it. I don't get it at all. I don't care. I just don't get it.
I don't get it, and I never will.
Raise your hand if you want to die. It's just anyway. Yeah, don't get
a pleasure to be with you and catch up with you after all this.
Yeah, Rob, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Continue to do the great work on television, which people can find if they go to, I guess, their public television channel.
Yep. And if you guys don't have it, please pick it until you do. That's my gentle.
What's the current name of the show?
Simply Ming.
Simply Ming. Beautiful.
Simply
Perfect.
Ming. Yep.
And they know that they can go to mingsbings.com if they want to order in the product or find it at some of the many places where it's beginning.
Yeah, we have a store locator there. And I really appreciate it. I love the best part about this, Rob, is you actually love the Mings things, and that's a great thing.
I'm happy to recommend it.
You've eaten a lot of food in your life, so thank you for that.
I eat a lot of food every day.
We all do.
But thank you. Okay, excellent to be with you, and I'll put out the good word.
Thank you, man. Peace and love. We'll see you soon.
Back at you.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
There you have it. I really like that guy. I really admire the guy in every possible way. The product is terrific. The money that they donate is great. But all in all, I mean, a super talented, successful, determined, great, entertaining, lovely guy to hang out with. Always liked him, and even more now. Episode 114 you're listening to of All You Can Eat. It's the podcast about deliciousness. I'm Rob Rosenthal, your host. Happy to be with you as always. Return with me live every Wednesday night. Find the podcast All You Can Eat on iHeartRadio. Find it on Spotify. Find it on Spreaker, wherever you find your podcasts, I think. Find me at realrobrosenthal.com, or if you're an Instagram person, I guess you'll find me at realrobrosenthal on Instagram. If you're a Twitter person, I'm Short Order Dad there. And the reason for that, same as on Facebook, is because I have written the book called Short Order Dad, One Guy's Guide to Making Food Fun and Hassle-Free, which you can find on Amazon, and I'm sure you can find on my website as well. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, always a pleasure. And remember this, life is short, so never waste a meal.
I'm the Teflon Pan Man. I'm the Teflon Pan Man. Ain't nothing gonna stick on